Today was my first day back to work after having a week-long holiday, and it was definitely a very long day, as the first day back after vacation always seems to be. So I'm very looking forward to just snuggling up for a little while and reading a book, and then probably also watching another episode of the 1995 BBC miniseries adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. My boyfriend and I started that last night, and I would have loved to just sat there and binge watched the entire thing, but unfortunately I had to go to bed so I could get up today for work. We're gonna continue watching that tonight. Hopefully we get to watch at least one episode. But first I wanted to do just a little bit of reading tonight, because I love reading to wind down after a long day at work. And so I'm gonna start reading Set on You by Amy Lee on my Kobo. This was on my TBR for my last reading for 24 hours, and I did not get to it because I ended up listening to an audiobook instead that wasn't on my TBR, but I still really want to read this. It's February and I really am in the mood for some romance, so I'm going to start this one tonight. And then I also just borrowed the audiobook Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis on Libby. I have never read or listened to a self-help book before, and I feel like this one would be a good starting point. It seems really interesting. I remember when it first came out and a lot of people were buying it, but for the next little while I think I'm going to start reading Set on You. It looks like a romance about like people meeting in a gym. I don't really know anything about it. I'm just judging the cover. I'm gonna go and start that. So I just need to stop reading for a second and just share this line with you, because if this does not speak to my soul, honestly, this too is why I love to work out. So she says, 4 sets of squats and I'll be high on endorphins for at least a day, fantasizing about the strength of my thighs crushing the souls of 1,000 men. Yes, that is all. So I am now at 30% into Set on You by Amy Lee, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I didn't think it was going to have as much depth as it does. I thought it was going to be just a really fast-paced rom-com, and it is, but it's also like a little bit more. Definitely touches on heavy topics, but still somehow keeps it light and fun. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. And then I'm also loving that there are a lot of strong female relationships in this book, specifically between the main character and her sister, mom, and grandmother. It's definitely something that I like to read about. I myself never had a strong bond with like a grandmother, so this is exactly what I would imagine that to be like, and they feel like very genuine relationships as well, which is really nice. I'm also really loving the characters so far. I think they're pretty well rounded, and then I'm also really enjoying the format. So in this book there are like the little text message bubbles, and then also she makes Instagram posts that have comments, and it actually is formatted like the comment section of Instagram. And normally with books that can kind of take me out of the story or just gets a little bit tedious after a while, but this book does it in a way that really aids the story, and I think it's one of the only books I've ever read that has that it feels actually necessary. So I'm really enjoying it so far, safe to say. Now I'm just going to sit here and read some more. So I am now 87% of the way through Set on You, and I've only got a few chapters left. I'm planning on finishing tonight. I'm still really loving this romance and the characters in it. I will say it got a little bit predictable, and I'm also now 55% of the way through Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. This one I've just been listening to on and off whilst doing like the dishes or folding laundry the past few days. And I've never read self-help, so I have nothing to compare this one to, but it's definitely not the most intriguing thing I've ever read, and I don't know if I would pick up more self-help like this one. I might try something else in the future, but this one, I just can't relate to some of the content, and then I also find it very religious, so some of her tips kind of have to do with religion and spirituality, which is fine. It's just personally for me, I don't fully relate to her personal experiences in that regard. I definitely want to see it through to the end because who knows, maybe I'll kind of change my mind, but so far this one to me is not one that I personally think I'd ever reach for again, but it's definitely a new experience, and that's something that I can fully appreciate. So my Kobo tells me I only have 44 minutes to go for Set on You, so that is what I'm going to do for the next 3/4 of an hour. What? 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 I just finished Set on You by Amy Lee. I really liked this romance. I think it was better than what I was expecting. I've never heard of anyone talk about this one before, so I was quite happy that it was actually like a really good romance story and pretty unique too. I think this one will forever live in my mind, to be honest with you, which is very rare for romance with me. Overall, I'm definitely gonna rate this one 4 stars. Definitely not as much spice as I was expecting, considering all the build up towards it, but that's okay with me. I do like spice, but I don't mind reading romance without it. But yeah, I did really like this one, and I just found out that there are actually 2 companion novels, or at least one was already released. I'm not sure if the other one was, but I guess they're about characters who are in this story that aren't the 2 main characters and their love stories. So I'll definitely be checking those out because I really enjoyed this one, and I'm hoping that the other ones are just as good. I really was not sure what I wanted to pick up next after this one because I don't quite know what my mood is, but Circe by Madeline Miller was sitting on my shelf and really caught my eye, so I think I'm going to start this one. I've been meaning to read this one since I got it a couple years ago. I'm really hoping it's just as good as Song of Achilles because I loved that one. I'm gonna try not to compare this one to that one as I'm reading it though, because I don't want to take away from this one. But I have heard really good things about Circe. It's also a tale about Greek mythology. I'm gonna start this one probably tomorrow, I think, just for the rest of tonight. If I do any more reading at all, it will probably just be Girl Wash Your Face because I do have some dishes to do and some more laundry to fold. So I will talk to you guys again once I've started Circe. just finished Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, and it definitely is one that I probably wouldn't recommend to a lot of people just because it was very preachy. I myself didn't really enjoy that aspect of it, and I don't know that I'd ever pick anything up by Rachel Hollis again just because of this. I also felt like I couldn't relate to some of it. I am not, however, going to rate this one just because I don't rate like autobiographies and books that are written by people that are about their own life stories. And though this is a self-help book, it feels very much kind of like an autobiography, just this is what I did, don't make the same mistakes as me kind of vibe. And then earlier when I was reading Circe by Madeline Miller, I got to page 101 and I am really enjoying this one so far. It kind of started off a little bit slow, but it's definitely been picking back up in pace, and though I thought it was like a bit wordy and a bit detailed at the beginning and it took me like probably 20 pages to get into, I still didn't want to put it down, so I really can't complain about the pacing that much. So now I guess I'm just gonna cozy up in my office here and read some more of Circe. Yesterday I had a super relaxing, cozy day just in bed, and I ended up finishing Circe. I did read like a few chapters every night after work for the past few days, and then yesterday was a day off, so all I felt like doing was reading Circe. I did not want to put it down. So needless to say, this was 5 stars to me. Just as good as Song of Achilles, and I'm really hoping that Madeline Miller writes more about Greek mythology if she hasn't already. I also own Galatea by Madeline Miller, and I'm definitely looking to read that one soon because I've had such a good time reading Song of Achilles and Circe, but it's a very short novel. I think it's actually just a short story and it's less than 100 pages, so I'm not quite ready to read it yet because it'll be over way too quickly. But this also makes me want to look into reading Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. That's a book that has kind of been on my radar for a while. I just haven't purchased it or put it on hold with Libby yet or anything, but I'm definitely gonna look into it because Ariadne was in Circe briefly and I would love to read more about her story, and I know it has very good reviews as well, so that's definitely one I want to look into in the near future. I just love reading about like Greek mythology. I went through a huge Greek mythology phase when I was like 10 years old, and I still love reading about it and learning about it and such. So reading books like Circe and Song of Achilles are always really fun. They have a little bit of like a nostalgic feel for me as well. But anyways, I think I'm gonna leave this reading vlog here. Let me know if there are any books based on Greek mythology that you've read and loved and recommend, and I'll definitely check those out because now I feel like I'm in the mood for anything and everything Greek mythology. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and happy reading.